Hello, people. I'm Cory Kerr, and this is Illo Talk. Today, I want to talk about something that I'm calling the benefits of experiencing negative feelings. If everyone around you has sanded the edges off of things and they're constantly protecting you from failing or getting hurt or experiencing discomfort, whether that be mental or emotional or whatever, there's a normal range of human emotion. And within that normal range of human emotion, there's good and indifferent and bad. If you've experienced and become familiar with the negative aspects of the normal human experience, you can recognize that for what it is. Frustration is part of the process. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with this. It's not scary. It's not bad. It's just, it is. A little thing that I wrote just as I was trying to process this idea. Like most things, people take way too far into the exaggerated extremes. This is a nuanced topic with no clear lines, but a comfortable sweet spot that's different for each person. I also hesitate to post this type of thing because the arguments I'm making here can easily be twisted by those that enjoy hurting other people's feelings or going out of their way to be offensive. So to those trolls and edgelords, I say, you're horrible people. You're boring. You're shallow. And don't use my arguments to defend your poor behavior on the internet. I am not condoning those idiots that demand to be debated or are intentionally insulting and then claim that everybody is too sensitive. I'm also not saying that people should have no safe spaces or sanctuaries. Block whoever you want. You have the right to curate your digital experience. Having said that, I am going to argue that seeking a safe place from negative triggers everywhere we go isn't helping us, especially for artists. People avoid negative feelings and differing opinions to their detriment. Forbidden language, rules for jokes, the idea that language is violence, expecting not to be challenged in college classrooms, and all the other ways that we use to nerf life are ruining intellectual rigor, opportunity for improvement, emotional resilience, and nuanced language. Each one of those has had entire books written and hundreds of articles written about it. I'm not going to address them, though what I'm talking about is applicable to each one. I'm going to talk about the value of seeking the negative in art and creativity. Every set of opposites is two sides of the same coin, or two ends of the same yardstick. I've found that the amount that we choose to allow the negative increases our ability to experience the positive. You can't experience love without accepting the vulnerability of loss. Pain and pleasure, success and failure, winning and losing, hard work and relaxation are all two sides of the same coin. When it comes to being creatively productive, being able to wade through the negative is a huge part of success of finishing the project. If you're not familiar with struggle, frustration, failure, then you'll likely give up or be deterred before you experience the reverse and experience the joy of finishing and shipping a project. The ups and downs of the creative journey are all on the same road. If you turn off at the first sign of discomfort, then you never get to the end of the road. Elizabeth Gilbert, in her book Big Magic, says, I remember thinking that learning how to endure your disappointment and frustration is part of the job of a creative person. If you want to be an artist of any sort, it seems to me then handling your frustration is a fundamental aspect of the work, perhaps the single most fundamental aspect of the work. Frustration is not an interruption of your process. Frustration is the process. She continues and quotes another writer, though I don't swear, so I've changed a word or two. I recently read a fabulous blog by a writer by the name of Mark Manson, who said that the secret to finding your purpose in life is to answer this question in total honesty. What's your favorite flavor of crap sandwich? What Manson means is that every single pursuit, no matter how wonderful and exciting and glamorous it may initially seem, comes with its own brand of crap sandwich, its own lousy side effects. She continues, so the question is not so much, what are you passionate about? The question is, what are you passionate enough about that you can endure the most disagreeable aspects of the work? Stephen Pressfield describes the negative aspects of creation as resistance. He's written several books on it. In War of Art, he writes, any act that rejects immediate gratification in favor of long-term growth, health, or integrity will elicit resistance. Resistance is like the alien, or the Terminator, or the shark in Jaws. It cannot be reasoned with. It understands nothing but power. It is an engine of destruction, programmed from the factory with one object only, to prevent us from doing our work. Resistance is implacable, intractable, and indefatigable. And if that's not threatening enough, he states, you think resistance isn't real? Resistance will bury you. Now, older generations have an advantage here. The further back you go, the harder life was. At a certain point, it was so hard that everybody was just focused on survival. And I'm not going to suggest that everybody go wear a horsehair coat inside out and go eat crickets in the desert. But there are some benefits to challenges, opposition, and resistance. For me, not being protected from being a weird kid, playing impossibly difficult 80s video games, playing football and basketball in high school when I was 5'4" and weighed 115 pounds, rock climbing, losing publicly, bombing on stage, getting public feedback from teachers, harsh critiques, the death of my pets, the death of my brothers and grandparents, numerous near-death experiences, and many other things have all taught me one powerful thing: how to push through frustration and pain. Because in the immortal advice Lance Murdoch gave to Bart Simpson, bones heal, chicks dig scars, and the United States of America has the best doctor to daredevil ratio in the world. We've nerfed life. People are growing up today with the sharp edges sanded down. Life sucks today, but it's always sucked. I actually think it's designed to suck. Whether you believe in a higher power, natural selection, or some combination of those two, the world is built to resist us and make us stronger. Unfortunately, the best work by the most talented creators rarely sees the light of day because it's never finished. Sometimes it's never even started. In his book Die Empty, Todd Henry writes, the most valuable land in the world is the graveyard. In the graveyard are buried all of the unwritten novels, never launched businesses, unreconciled relationships, and all the other things that people thought, I'll get around to that tomorrow. One day, however, their tomorrows ran out. What we're left with is the finished work of the fighters, those who stayed on the road and kept fighting to move the project forward, whether things were going well or not, and the trite, vapid corporate formulaic drivel. We don't get to choose which side of the yardstick we get that day or which side of the coin lands up. We accept whatever the work has for us, and only by pushing through the negative can we get to the positive. It's the only way it works. If it was easy, everyone would do it and it would become commonplace. It seems like magic to the uninitiated because it's so rare. I guess my point is every book and animation happened at the cost of other, much easier activities. The sacrifice that the artist lays on the altar is herself. Not the cliche of the tortured, starving artist, but in that she's willing to endure all of the negative and positive that the creation had to offer her. Be a fighter. Like Chris Rock recently said, anyone who says words hurt has never been punched in the face. He was probably speaking very literally, but I think it works as a metaphor as well. If you want to be creative, let the project punch you in the face a bit and quit seeking comfort. You'll get stuff done. Some of it will be good, and all of it will change you. So that's a little thing that I wrote just as I was trying to process this idea of things. I was thinking about recently my nephew had a pocket knife and he was whittling and he forgot some of the rules of having a pocket knife. And so he was pulling it towards his thumb. He was cutting towards his thumb and he cut his thumb. And I thought, a lot of parents nowadays, they wouldn't let their kids have a knife. But yes, there are some very extreme situations where something could go very, very wrong with a 2-inch blade. But for the most part, you're going to cut yourself. And then, I took out my knife and I explained we cut away from our thumbs and kind of, if you cut towards yourself, it's going to jump, and there are some rules and things. And he's going to learn a couple things from that. He's going to learn that hurt, that was painful, but it wasn't the end of the world. We put a Band-Aid on it and it'll heal. And actually, I've heard this theory that kids that don't get injured in their childhood actually struggle to take risks in adulthood, because one of the benefits of getting injured in your childhood is that it gets ingrained in your mind that your body heals and that an injury and that pain and that discomfort and blood are to be avoided, but not to be feared, or they're not detrimental. They're not life-ending, and I should know I've had a lot of experiences where I've gotten very, very injured, and I've healed, and I have got through those things. Anyway, I'm just thinking of this from the creative aspect of, if we are seeking comfort all the time, and you've been raised in an environment where your parents and your teachers and everybody around you, and this isn't one of those, oh, everybody gets a participation trophy, old man arguments. What I'm talking about is if everyone around you has like sanded the edges off of things and they're constantly protecting you from failing or getting hurt or experiencing discomfort, whether that be mental or emotional or whatever, there's like a normal range of human emotion. And within that normal range of human emotion, there's good and indifferent and bad. And if you are allowed to feel those things and experience those things and process those things and deal with those things, then you are not shocked when those things happen, right? You're familiar with it. So for example, any art project that you get into that's worth anything, at some point in time is going to suck. At some point in time is going to be really difficult, really hard, really mundane, really boring, challenging. You might get into that pit of despair where you're questioning if it's even worth the effort that you're putting into it and all that stuff. And as soon as it gets hard, if you've experienced and become familiar with the negative aspects of the normal human experience, you can recognize that for what it is. Frustration is part of the process. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with this. It's not scary. It's not bad. It's just, it is what it is. But if that's a new feeling, if that's a new emotion, if that's a new thing, and somebody like me who's teaching college students and I come up and I say, hey, do this thing. And I push and push and push, and somebody's stretching and then it hurts and it's scary or it's weird or it's whatever. And they're pushing into the creativity, or they're pushing into learning something that is difficult to grasp. If they're not used to like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to improve. Like it is hard. It hurts. There's pain. There's fear. There's all of that stuff. The resistance, as Stephen Pressfield calls it. Then you might run from it. You might avoid it. You might say, I'm not good at that, or I don't like that. That's not something that I'm into or whatever. When in actuality, you might very well be into it. And there's several people out there that have stated that talent is not so much, I think Elizabeth Gilbert says this in Big Magic, talent is not so much that you're born good at something, but you're born interested in something so much so that you're willing to endure the negative aspects of that thing enough to get good at it. I digress from my main point, but I'm worried about being misinterpreted because what I'm really calling for is I'm calling for like what I always call for, a nuanced view of life. Like I'm not saying that you need to go out into the world and, suffer and starve and constantly subject yourself to being berated by people that disagree with you or whatever. What I'm saying is, when that happens, when you happen to come across it or whatever, try to understand, try to empathize, try to see where they're coming from. It's an interesting exercise. And as an artist, it'll help you, in your writing and in your creation and in your character development to not other everyone. That includes people who are, as I said, a very othering statement, the trolls and the edgelords and all those guys. Understanding where they're coming from and understanding the fear that might drive the behavior can be helpful to that type of thing. So anyway, seek a little bit of discomfort, not a lot, a little bit. Become familiar with, the negativity and the downsides of production and creativity, and you'll be okay. You'll finish projects and you'll get to the end, which is the point, to finish things and ship them. It feels good. That completion is addictive, and it's a good addiction. So highly recommend it. And if you want to see some of the things that I've finished, then you can go to kuretake.com. If you're watching this and you're not on my newsletter, get on my newsletter and go to kuretake.com/email and join the newsletter, and you'll get You get this in writing and other thoughts and types of things and announcements, and it'll come directly to you so that you kind of avoid the algorithms out there and big tech deciding whether or not you get to see the stuff that you want to see. So if you want to see my stuff and you don't want other people to decide whether or not you see my stuff, then go to corykerr.com/email and sign up for that. I send it no more than once a week, and you can skip them if you want to unsubscribe anytime. It's all free and whatever. And anyway, thanks for listening. For those of you that made it this far, go make something. It'll be hard, but it'll be worth it.
This is illo time.